replicate. This by far is the most fun conversation, but it's also the conversation that most people avoid having. But this is the conversation that is key to impacting your business, to replicating your best relationship. And it's a very, very easy conversation, but people just get caught up in some sort of barrier. They're afraid that their client is not going to introduce them to anybody. So I want you to remember the following buzzwords or following statement: committed to the outcome, unattached to the result. So once again, we're committed to the outcome of getting other introductions, but unattached to the result. Whether that happens or not is irrelevant, because what we truly want here are to meet other great people. Okay?
Okay, and the other thing I want to point out too is, as you go through these conversations, we provide the script for a very specific reason. The language is really key in these conversations. I know we like to kind of use our own language and things, and as you get comfortable and you get very clear on the critical points of these conversations, you can begin to put your flavor on it. But for at least the first 10 conversations, stick to the script, because there's a real specific reason we chose the words that we did.
Right, very simple. If you want to play music, you need to learn scales. Until you learn scales, you can't play music. So learn the scripts, internalize them, and do whatever you want with them. Okay? So once again, Lauren's going to be one of my clients, and I'm going to have the replicate conversation with her. Lauren, we've had previous conversations before. You give me a lot of tremendous valuable impact, and I appreciate that. And as you well know, you were in my first class cabin in my business. You're in the top tier of my relationships. And I can't tell you enough on how much I appreciate you and how we do business together and how we laugh together and the great things that we have done together. So if you were me, how would you go about meeting more people like you?
Interesting question. I would say, I mean, the obvious way would be, coming to parties that I have. I could invite you to parties.
Wow, you have parties? Wow.
Yeah, I do dinner parties once a month.
No way, you have one coming up this month? Mm-hmm. You think it'd be possible that I can come?
Absolutely, we'd love to have you come.
Awesome, when is it?
It's June, I think it's June 28th, but I can get back with you on that.
Should I bring my wife?
Absolutely, yeah, we'd love to have you.
So June 28th, and do you know how many other people are going to be there?
I think we're expecting between 8 and 10.
Wow, and of those people that are coming, do you think there's anybody I should particularly meet?
Oh, definitely, and I'll make sure to introduce you specifically.
Wow, who's that?
Joe.
Joe, why?
I just think the two of you get along. Similar personalities. You both have that philosophical stuff going on.
Wow. So what does Joe do?
Joe's an FA. Uh-huh. He's a financial advisor. So you guys have that in common. You have the economic backgrounds. Mm-hmm. So I think you guys would have some he's a Republican.
Wow, awesome.
So you guys could have some really interesting political conversations.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Joe's going to be there, and once again, it's on June 28th?
Yeah.
All right, I'll be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. Quite literally, it's as simple as that. Right? So I was committed to the outcome. Right? So I wanted to secure things in time and space, and I wanted real names. And the reason why I wanted Joe's name was not so much for me, but it was for her. Right? To begin to already form in her mind why she should introduce us. Right? Now that was easy. Obviously, it's a little staged. Right? So we're going to make it a little bit harder now. Right? And so what Lauren's going to ask, and she's just going to give me a blank stare. Right? And that's because I know that's what the big fear is. All right? So watch. Once again, you're one of my best relationships. Really admire you. Stuff we already covered. If you were me, how'd you go about meeting more people like you?
I don't know.
Wow, you don't know? Wow, okay. Wow, and what I mean by that is because I like to meet great people like you. Perhaps you're in a bowling league, or you go out golfing, or you have dinner parties. And if you're comfortable, what I would love to do is tag along, because I really want to meet great people like yourself.
Okay. So you're not looking for I think you should go hang out at a country club because...
No, I want to be there with you. Okay. Because once again, I'm looking to build great relationships in my life and in my business. And I found the best way to do that is through great people like you. I mean, ideally, I want to meet your friends.
Well, you mentioned dinner parties. We do dinner parties.
Okay.
And then there you take off. So one of the things that you can do is you can make suggestions. You can even use examples of how you've met other people through other clients. You can say, a lot of times I like to take my clients out golfing, and they'll bring friends of theirs. And
the reason why you can have this conversation is because you had the two previous, right? You begin to build a deeper level of trust and mutual respect, right? Anytime that you ask someone for advice, what can I do to improve my business? They now have a vested interest in you. Now with these conversations, the 3 conversations, right? You don't necessarily have all 3 of them with everybody that made your champion scoring sheet, right? You have the first one acts as a qualifier, identify, right? Then from identify, most of them will percolate up to cultivate. And then through your conversation, you're going to begin to get a feel with people, right? Some people will be easier to have these conversations with than others. The people who are easier, those are the ones that you want to replicate, right?
And you'll also find, too, that you'll get introductions even before you get to the replicate conversation. But the replicate conversation is really designed with this in mind. Now, I want you to also get to the distinction between this conversation and then asking a client, carte blanche, do you have anybody you can refer to me? Very different feeling. And again, they might give you a name and number, but likely they won't. So, and then it'll be up to you to follow up, as opposed to me going, him coming to my dinner party.
Right, you don't want referrals, you want introductions, right? 10 referrals is not worth as much as 1 introduction, right? 1 introduction, you increase the probability that you're actually going to make a sale, that you're going to actually make a bonding moment, right? Referrals are still sales. You still got to sell yourself. An introduction is very, very powerful because the baton of trust is passed from one person to another. Right? Think about how you found your dentists, your architects, the people who have impacted your life. You didn't look in the yellow pages. You asked somebody who was trusted. You said, hey, who do you know that does X? And then they introduced you to someone.
And the great thing about this, too, is it's fun. I mean, you sit down, and even if it's just over dinner, right? Oftentimes what you'll find is because just by the nature of an introduction, you're trying to get to know something about each of you, and the person who knows something about both of you is the person who introduced us. And they're going to naturally, since that's the nature of the conversation, they want you guys to get to know each other, they're naturally going to say all these wonderful glowing things about you. All you have to do is sit there and smile.
Right.
And literally they're doing the selling for you because they already trust their friend. So that's the great thing. You just sit there and your champion will be speaking very highly of you and selling yourself while you get to shovel your face with food.
Right. So let's replicate, pass the baton of trust.